Howdy, this is the AggieCentral podcast. Tonight I want to talk to you about the frustrations mounting with Jimbo. You know they're there. Some Aggies are trying to deny them. Some have embraced them. Nonetheless, they are there. Let's talk about them. So here's the thing. Saturday. What was Saturday? Let's define Saturday. Saturday was an opportunity. It was an opportunity to take the college football landscape and make it your oyster. We could have been eating caviar. We could have been feasting on a tomahawk steak. How good that would have tasted. I like mine doused in a little bit of butter, some thyme, maybe a little rosemary, something, I don't know. And that's how I like it. That's what it could have been. So naturally, we are sitting here looking at a plate. And what's on the plate? Well, looks like some oatmeal. What? I ordered a steak. You served me oatmeal. What the hell is going on? That's essentially what is happening. We are frustrated beyond belief. I'm going to place these frustrations on something football related though. Let's kind of break that down a little bit more. What are we frustrated about? Other than having the opportunity to take the West by the horns, there's a lot of other questions up in the air. There's a lot of other things going on that we were going to benefit from. Namely, we had about, 30. Wilt Fong said 300. And let's just continue on with the theme. But we had about 300 of those, grass-fed, top-pick prize Angus beef cows at Kyle Field on Saturday. Yes, the recruits, 4 5-star recruits from this year, next year, and who knows when else. Did we impress them? The 12th man did. 12th man's amazing. How about the football team? When they watched that game, what did they take away? I hope they took away that we were in that game, that we challenged, that we dominated, that we were, the first half that is anyways, and that we were able to stick with one of the best teams in the nation and one of the best dynasties ever. I hope they take that away. I can't be guaranteed. They might say they just couldn't get it done. They just couldn't get it done again. And the questions will start mounting for them whether or not Jimbo can get it done. He missed a huge opportunity. It cannot be shot away from. That is what happened. So, again, we are rightfully frustrated. I'm starting to wonder, how much talent is it going to take? I don't know that I can quantify that. If we have this much talent already, are we going to have the top recruiting class 3 years in a row for this to get over the hump? What is it going to take? I mentioned at some point that Saban had told his guys last weekend, his key to the game was, don't beat yourself. Don't beat yourself. We beat ourselves for sure. Whether or not that made the difference in the outcome of the game, I don't know. But there's a number of plays that we beat ourselves on. There's just too many things that we were having hiccups on. So I am wondering, is he capable of actually coaching to that level? Or was 2013 just lightning in a bottle? Right? If you haven't wondered this, I know I am. I think it's very realistically possible that 2013 for Jimbo was just lightning in a bottle. He had some good players, things meshed right, things fell into place, and voila. National championship. Are we just sitting around waiting for that to happen here? Is that what the game plan is? Okay? We look at just simple, ridiculous stuff like the 3 offensive linemen basically just falling over like cardboard boxes late in the game trying to protect Max Johnson. And somehow looks like Layden steps on Foster's foot and he goes down, which then trips Nebu. And man, then we got a whole fiasco. end up giving up a safety. Did he just get lucky? Isn't it looking more and more like that? These are the frustrations that are welling up inside of the Aggie faithful, at least that I see them. I'm not trying to speak for y'all, but just from my perspective, these are the things that I have seen, I have heard as well. And I think that these things are really well placed. Okay? I mean, do we have the right coaches in the right place? Is that something that's holding us back? It's very difficult to know. We've seen the problems with the offensive line. I've recently started to notice what I think is a secondary problem. And, it applies the entire way because it's not the primary, it's the secondary, but it's happening in our secondary. We don't ever seem to play press coverage. We don't ever get physical with the wide receivers. We don't ever get them off schedule on their routes. We don't divert them. We don't delay them because we're not physical. We continue to play cushion like we are West Virginia or Texas in the Big 12. That's what they do. I thought when we went to the SEC, we were going to get ourselves some of that, and we just have not been able to incorporate that. Right. So I don't know that we've got the right coaches in place. I think Durkin's made some strides, but from a DB standpoint, we've done good in some regards. Antonio Johnson was a fantastic player, but I'm still wondering, where's Damani at? Why? It seems like he hasn't been developed to a level that we need. I don't know if he's developed to his full potential, but it needs to be to a level that we need. Some of the busts are just inexcusable. They just are unacceptable. Are we ready for next year? Ready for what next year? Have you thought about that? I've thought about this no less than once a week. Like I've said, if you've heard some of my shows, next year is a free-for-all. It is jockeying for position in the SEC. With all the realignment that's going to go on, the pecking order is going to be disrupted. That's not to say that OU and Texas are going to come in and just, solidify themselves at the top or something like that. But no, with all the moves and all the changes, there's going to be a reinitiation of where people stand. Are we ready to try and compete and challenge for the top spot? That's what Saturday was about, right? That's what the announcement to the world was going to be, is that we are ready for that. We dropped that ball. So the frustrations mount. We're not sure if we're ready next year for that. And if we're not ready next year for that, then that makes me wonder, are we ready to get this rivalry back on next year? I've got a couple ways that I predicted that Jimbo would get fired, if you recall. One of those fast tracks it, which is to lose next year. Does he understand that matchup? Does he understand that importance? Does he understand we lost in 2011? He needs to understand that. He needs to understand what we want. I'm frustrated because I don't know that he understands. I don't feel like he understands. I see too many times, I hear too many times about a lack of execution. The play was there. That's what he said. The play was there on that 4th and 1. We just didn't execute. Why do we continue to not execute? I don't have the answer for that. Someone could say, well, we continue to keep practicing not executing, or in another way to say that is practice doing it wrong. Have we practiced it right enough to where we can't get it wrong? Isn't that exactly how that works? I don't think there's much other way to look at it, to be quite honest. Are we accepting mediocrity? Perhaps that's what's taking place. And I'm frustrated that I don't know that we're vying for a championship caliber culture. I can't tell if it's happening at practice. I can't tell if it's happening in the locker room. I don't know what the weight room looks like. Part of the point about hiring a coach like him is that once you've got that that championship, you're supposed to know what it takes. I'm not convinced he knows what it takes. And so the frustrations mount. Get a win Saturday against the Volunteers, do something extra special, you can start to move us back in the other direction. But until then, the frustrations will continue to grow.